Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. And today we're talking about what you should do after you part ways with a literary agent.
I'm
So
excited
somewhere,
about this.
yeah, it's a good one. Somewhere on our channel, there's a video about how to know you should part ways, how to actually part ways, but we never quite talked about what comes next, which I feel like each phase of this process leaves a writer questioning, what do I do now? So we wanted to dive into, where do you go from here?
Yeah, I think this is really something nobody has ever really talked about. So I think this is a great subject.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have not watched those other two videos, I would say start there. We're going to talk less about how to know and when to part ways. So you're coming here right after you've parted ways with an agent. We're sorry to hear it. But the first thing that I think, yeah, it sucks. The first thing that,
and let's be honest, this could also be the agent parted ways with you. It could
absolutely
be either side, and it does stink for everybody. But it happens because not all relationships are forever.
Small aside, because I think that it always feels that way for the other person, but it sucks when you have to be the one to part ways as well. Like, it's not a fun thing to do.
Yeah, and I know we've said this in other videos, but I also really want to stress that it's not a black mark on your record.
Right.
It happens. There are a ton of reasons why agent-author relationships change. It could be, and a lot of them have to do with career visions changing on one side or the other. It could be that you're shifting into something that your agent doesn't represent, or it could be that your agent is shifting their career into things and what you're writing doesn't fit that. So, but I've never met an agent who sees that you've been previously represented and thinks that's a negative.
Right.
So I want to start with that so that we can go into what you can do now without the insecurity of that.
Yeah, and I think actually where we just started is helpful too, because the first thing, it's an emotional experience. So the first thing really, I hope everyone gets a chance to do is just take a beat, right? Like, just a day, like nothing is going to happen in a week that's like, unless you have things in the works, right? Which usually would be covered by your past agent, but just take a beat, reflect on what happened, right? Reflect, like, feel the emotions that you're feeling.
Feel the emotions.
Like we always say, the 24-hour rule, take a week. It's totally fine.
Well, I mean, I think there's a grief process to it, right? You're
Absolutely.
probably, you're probably going to be angry. You're going to be sad. Right. You're going to be confused, especially if you weren't the one who necessarily saw it coming. You're probably going to be overwhelmed. You're going to feel like you've gone backward because, let's face it, every author's dream is never to have to look for an agent again.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of emotions there that give yourself the time to sort through things.
Exactly. And I don't think that you can really dive into that next stage of your career if you're still like, man, what happened? Like, if you're not quite processed of that previous experience, I think it's really hard to start focusing on what you do next. So,
well, listen, we often compare it to dating, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a breakup, it's usually not a good idea to launch yourself the next day into a new relationship. And this holds true of this situation as well.
Yep, absolutely. So take the time, take the beat, process what happens. And I also think this is a really great portion, even if it's a list, right? Like, I'm a list maker. So even if it's making a list of, these are all the things that my previous agent did great, and these are all the previous things that my agent did that maybe I don't want again, or somebody else could do differently. And I think having that list could really arm you for trying to find your next agent. So this is that good.
Go on.
No, this is just a good window of time, right? Like, when you're fresh out of that relationship and you're really trying to understand everything that happened, I think this is a good window of time to just jot down those notes so that you have an understanding of, how did we work? Where did it maybe go wrong? And what do I want from here?
I think that, hands down, is the absolute most valuable information of today's video, is making that list. And, don't blame yourself, but jot down things you think your agent did right, things you think the agent did wrong, ways that you handled the relationship that you did right or wrong or wouldn't want to do again or would want to do again. And then how the two of you worked together or didn't work together, that worked or didn't. But I think that taking a look at all of those things will really give you a leg up in your search for a next agent. But I know that anytime I'm talking to an author who was previously agented, I will ask, so with your previous experience, what are you looking for or not looking for that's based on that? Basically what I'm saying is, what baggage might be you be coming with that I can help you out with or that I can be aware of and try not to trigger?
Right.
So knowing that can be really valuable for you in asking those questions. If your agent hated email and only DM'd you on Twitter and that was an issue for you, that's a good conversation point to have with any new agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because again, like you said, every author's goal is to not do this again. So if you have to do it again, your goal is still going to be, I don't want to do this again. But now you have that previous knowledge of what worked and what didn't work for you.
Use what you've learned.
Yep, absolutely. So when you're ready, right? Everybody's a little bit different, but when you're ready, the next thing that you should do is polish that book you're going to query and polish the actual query letter, right? Like that's the next step.
You're still going to need to go through the channels usually in the same way you did before. So if you are even under contract with the publisher when this happens, you still need something to send. And you want something to send. Sure, you might be able to call a few agents and say, hey, I'm a published author with blah, blah, books. I'm looking for a new agent. I don't have anything to send you right now. I could send you my published book or something like that. But you want to make sure the agent isn't just taking you on for what they think is an easy deal now. So yes, you still need material to send, and you still need material that's submittable. In other words, if you have a book that your past agent sent to like 20 places and said they couldn't send out anymore, that's not the book to try to find a new agent with.
Exactly. So
you have nothing to add.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I think, once you have identified that book, querying is tough. You want to make sure it's in the best stage that it could be in. So it's time to do that revision, tap in your query, your critique partners. All of that still applies. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. Even if you're published 10 times, that new book has to be something that we can sell. So making sure that and your query letter are up to snuff is really important. And like Jessica said, it's good to mention that you've had an agent before in that new query letter, because that's valuable experience.
Well, and it says to me that one of my colleagues sort of put the stamp of approval on you and your work. True. And so it does make me look at it makes me look at things a tad differently. I can't deny that.
Yes. So the next step, you can probably do this a little concurrently while you're polishing your book in query, but that's reevaluating the agent market. So I don't know how long you've been with your past agent, but it's presumably been a significant amount of time to where things change, right? Like Jessica said, wish lists change, where agents are working change. People move jobs all the time in publishing. People have left. So you really want to take stock of who is working, who is working in my genre, and more specifically, who's looking for a book like I've written, or I do write, or I want to write.
And also, go on.
No, I'm done.
This is a great time to look back on the list that you had everybody write, and maybe weed out agents that you maybe know through social media or feel would not fit anymore because of your previous experience. And, there might just be people that are automatic no's. And I think it's important to know that because you want to be in the right relationship.
Absolutely. And you also, I don't know what I was going to say.
You also want to do that.
I feel like I was just going to repeat what you said. So let me shut up. Okay. Yeah, so then once you've done that, right? Once you've made your list of who you're going to query, it's time to do it. Like you've got to send those queries out. And I think if I can instill any thing in a writer who has had an agent in the past or has published books in the past is have a little confidence. I know querying can really beat you down, but you have done this before. You know what it takes. You know what to expect, and that's more than any first-time querier can say for themselves. So I think just having a little bit of confidence in who you are and what you bring to the table is going to be super important for how you sort of treat this next leg of querying.
And I also want to add on the agent market side, because we both lost our trains of thought. Anyway, here I go again. If you had a previous situation where you had a competitive agent, you know, where multiple agents competed for your book and you chose one and that didn't work out, those should be your first choice agents, assuming they are your first choice agents. If you're thinking back, oh, that one agent offered and I wish I'd done that, but I didn't, that's okay. You didn't. But it's, you know, I'm happy. If I offered before and you came back with something else, and I'm happy to look at it. As long as it still fits what I'm doing, I'm happy to take that look. So don't feel like because you said no to somebody that they now hold this grudge and don't want to see your next book. The truth is they probably would love to see it because they loved the first one. Why wouldn't they love this one?
Exactly. Yeah. And you made that connection already. Presumably you've gotten on the phone call with them. You know a lot of information about them. Never get rid of your old notes. If you take them, just keep them. Who cares? I think all of that is a useful way to gauge whether you would want to work with them in that next leg of your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it, because now you're querying and you're looking for your new agent. If you get another offer of representation, come back to the channel. We have plenty of videos on how to handle that, what questions to ask, how to speak to their clients, all of that fun stuff. But if you're in this process right now, we know it sucks, but hopefully this is a great guide for how to move forward, and we wish you the best of luck querying again.
Good luck. Good luck.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next time. Can't forget that.
Bye.